also shaping up literally within the last 48 hours as the mother of all political opportunities for those of us that really want to drive major change. So if you are Democrats, or if you are among those who want to support the most progressive Democratic policy agenda ever that is in place right now in the form of our platform, you've got to begin to get excited here in the home stretch with 4 weeks left, because we really do have an opportunity for the trifecta. We can win the presidency, and all that means, all of the Supreme Court appointments, all of the cabinet level appointments and other things that we have to make sure we get right at this critical crossroad, we can do that. We can take back the Senate, maybe by a little bit of a margin, but certainly we can take back the handful of votes we need to make sure that the Senate can confirm good Supreme Court justices and confirm district court judges and confirm cabinet appointees. And increasingly it looks like we might pull off the third and hardest part of that, which is to win the 30 seats that we need to take back the House of Representatives. And what that means, to be perfectly selfish about it, I slave away as the ranking member on a really important subcommittee, the Natural Resources Committee. It's the subcommittee on water, power, and oceans. I care a lot about natural resources and about water in particular, and I have spent the last 4 years fighting against really bad stuff.
Oh.
What winning those 30 seats means is that instead of being the ranking member fighting back against bad stuff, I get to reach over and grab that gavel. And we are suddenly on offense, and we are doing good stuff. And there's a lot that we can do across the policy spectrum that I think you should be very excited about. So I'm feeling really encouraged about this moment in time. Some of it is starting to be baked into how this election is going to go. We know that our Republican friends are going to be very disillusioned. Their turnout is probably going to be pretty low, because, you know, literally in the last 48 hours, dozens and dozens of leading Republicans are fleeing their presidential candidate.
So deserved.
That's on the agenda, and that's part of what's at stake. That's on the ballot. Citizens United is on the ballot. But look, this morning as I was driving here, I heard on CNN that Reince Priebus, the chair of the Republican Party, is telling his entire staff that they can leave, that they can vote their conscience, they don't have to support Trump, they can even just go on to their next job. That's how bad it's going to be. So we have an opportunity with depressed Republican turnout and just frankly demoralized Republicans to really win seats that may not have even been in play before this. But it's not going to happen by itself, because we've still got to do our work. So my hope is that in tonight's presidential debate that Hillary Clinton, you know, lets the criticism of Donald Trump sort of speak for itself and focuses on a positive, progressive policy agenda. That's our strength. We really do have answers for the American people right now. And I think if we talk about that and we do the hard work of getting out to vote and making sure everyone we know votes, and if you can be part of the effort to phone bank and do grassroots work into other districts, even into other states, this is the time not to relax or be complacent. This is the time to move into that final sprint for what could be a really historic election. So I'm excited, delighted to be with you, and I'm happy to take a couple of questions, and then I got to get out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for those of us who can't help by doing a substantial financial contribution to the system of turnout and so on, what at the lower level, at the grassroots level, that we have to do like the Republicans did for years and years and years, we need to build an effective grassroots infrastructure. What would you suggest is the important available thing to people like us who would do?
I would start by either contacting the Clinton campaign or the California Democratic Party and find out where they could use you as a phone banker. You can do that from your own home. And they now have systems where they'll give you a password, you log in, and they'll give you your phone script and the numbers for you to call, maybe in Nevada, maybe in some other swing state. And from the comfort of your own home, without any money out of your pocket, you can help bring votes in critical races. So that's a great place to start. Your Democratic Central Committee here in Sonoma County can plug you in as well to key races. You may want to work on local stuff. You may want to just ask them, where can I go or phone bank that would make a difference, either in other California races or outside the state. And there's a lot of options. A lot of options. Yeah.
So you're saying that the Democrats will really be able to give the majority, stand up against fracking, stand up against oil interests, stand up against American occupation, stand up against pharmaceuticals, everything that's been outed in the last decade that is for profit and against the people. I know that's a
right.
huge utopian idealistic vision, but I'd like to hear your head on it.
I think you're not going to realize every bit of that vision under either party in the next few years, but you'll realize a heck of a lot more of it with Democrats than you will with Republicans. That's just the truth. So you look at the genetic modified organism labeling, it was Democrats that were fighting back against the Dark Act. And a few crazy Republicans on the far right. There were some interesting alliances on that one.
Obama signed it.
I know.
That's right.
But the champions that were working in the I was against it the whole way, and I was working for the most part with other Democrats. So if you want to work on fossil fuel extraction, not just fracking, but the whole array of fossil fuel threats, leave it in the ground. And I've got a bill called the Keep It in the Ground Act that will not just phase out, but shut down fossil fuel extraction from our public lands and off our coast. That's what we have to do. We need to start with public lands and then very rapidly just get out of the fossil fuel business. So you're going to get a lot of that with Democrats. Hillary Clinton is going to build on President Obama's leadership on climate and clean energy. Donald Trump has already appointed his transition team, and it's a bunch of people from the oil and gas industry.
That's a crazy transition stage.
Yeah, well, we agree.
Vote for none of the above.
So look, none of this is going to happen
None
by
of the
itself.
above.
We're going to have to elect Hillary Clinton as president. We're going to have to elect a Democratic Congress, and then we are going to have to push them.
She's a crook.
But I will tell you, I'm excited because I'm going to be pushing from inside with a gavel in my hand. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Did you say you were on a committee of energy and ocean?
Water, power, and oceans. It's
Water,
a subcommittee.
power?
Yeah. It's a subcommittee of the Natural Resources.
So in terms of energy, I heard something a few years ago that was just totally intriguing. I haven't heard any more about it. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I'd like to plant the seed if you to do some more research if you haven't. I heard from somebody that sounded credible that if they put underwater turbines at the Golden Gate, that they could power the whole Bay Area, and whales and animals could go through there with tidal power. Is that, have you heard about that?
Well, yeah, tidal power on paper is very exciting, but you know, it's not so simple as to just put underwater turbines and assume that there aren't going to be impacts.
You're going to kill a lot of marine life.
Yeah, it's a pretty sensitive marine environment. So
What I heard is that they move really slow, and so that was all taken into consideration.
in concept, yes, but nobody has brought that to scale anywhere. I think we've seen the first commercial scale tidal project was just licensed somewhere in the Northeast. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't think in our sensitive Gulf of the Farallones National Marine Sanctuary that's the place to sort of tinker and be first adopters of that kind of stuff. I think we do want clean energy, but we also really want to be careful about preserving our
It
marine
takes places where there's
sanctuary.
huge amount of water moving through this close to cities.
No, the physics are there for wave energy. Yeah.
But if you take energy out of the tidal system and use it in another place, the water will not go as far in the direction that it would have gone. So there is impacts with salinization and a number of things like that.
Good point.
Yes.
I just want to thank you for coming out and fighting the good fight. I know that you probably have some challenging days, so I just want to appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. What keeps me going, quite honestly, is I represent an amazing set of communities up and down the North Coast. I get a lot of encouragement and good ideas. So it's always exciting for me to gather with you because I've just got an amazing constituency. Thank you. Yeah.
I and many of my friends were big Bernie supporters, and I am reluctantly going to be
voting for Hillary, even though I disagree with, some of her integrity, honesty stuff. I believe by far she's the lesser of two evils. She's got a lot better, and we can't allow Trump to get in. However, a lot of my friends are on Facebook, especially. There's a lot of conversations going on about implying even that I and Bernie are a traitor. That stick with Julia Stein. If we all come on board there, and I'm an optimist, but I'm a realist too, in the thing that there's just no way that she's going to win 3%. And so to me, it's like a throwaway vote. And if too many people do that, it could split the Democratic vote and allow Trump to get in. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So, I happen to think that Bernie and his supporters, in my opinion, should feel very good about the positive impact they've already had and have the potential to have on this election. They've just made a tremendous impact across the board on issues that I care about. They have moved the national conversation. They have moved the party platform. They have moved our nominee on a couple of big issues to my satisfaction. So I'm grateful for that. But I'm also grateful for the way Bernie has pivoted once it became very clear that Hillary was going to be the nominee, and he gets it. He understands that we don't have the luxury of attacking our nominee from the left and splintering. We don't have to relearn this lesson. We saw what happened in Florida in 2000. It was only a handful of votes that made the difference between George Bush and Al Gore. And Al Gore's actually campaigning in Florida for Hillary Clinton today to remind people in Florida of that important lesson. Let's make new mistakes, not the old ones. That really should be our goal. And you look at a number of states. Yeah, California, you could sort of rationalize, well, we've got throwaway votes. We can give a bunch to Jill Stein. I don't think that's a wise way to go in an election like this, and it certainly is not something you'd want to spread to states like Iowa, like Colorado, like Nevada, where the polling, even with Donald Trump and all of his outrages, it's single digits. And Jill Stein is polling single digits. So we honestly, to the extent that you have friends in any of those states, I think you need to urge them to sort of take yes for an answer. The Bernie campaign is absolutely represented in this platform, in this agenda we're pushing forward, and in Hillary's positions, and we will hold her to those things. All right, but we got to make sure we win this, and that means we got to win every key state around the country.
What's the possibility of instituting ranked choice voting for national elections?
I hope very remote, because I've seen what ranked choice did in Oakland and San Francisco, and I loved it at one point because it appealed to me conceptually. I think the way it is played out in areas that have adopted it, most people are highly dissatisfied.
Why?
So, because it gets random results, and it's probably a bigger conversation than we have time for, but we can give you some examples of, frankly, some people that ended up getting into office that in any more thoughtful process would never have been elected. So it troubles me. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I am voting for Jill Stein, and I will vote for her. I don't think I'm wasting my vote.
We can't hear.
We can't hear you.
Okay, I said I'm voting for Jill Stein, and I'm not wasting my vote.
Me too.
Honestly, I've lost my faith in the Democratic Party.
No shit.
I don't believe in it anymore.
They're
Also,
crooks.
It's the most progressive Democratic Party you've ever seen in
I
your
don't believe
lifetime.
that either. So, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you, because I'm going to vote more local elections. I'll be voting more Democratic. What makes you want to believe in your party that you really are going to do it? As far as I can see, a lot of things that come forward are put forward in favor of industry anyway. They start off with that in favor. When have I've not seen the Democrats say stop. I've never seen that. And I'm not talking about the Obama administration. I'm talking all the way back.
Well, I see it all the time. I see it every week in our caucuses. I guess I would. First, I respect your principles, and I respect where you're coming from. So, let's have a principled disagreement on this. My feeling as a lifelong Democrat is I have never felt better about my party, which is still not perfect. Our country's not perfect either. The whole thing is aspirational. It's about becoming more perfect. But I would say this. I don't think there's ever been a major national political party that has gotten it right across the board on every issue to the degree that Democrats in 2016 have it right now. Every single issue, whether you're talking about marriage equality or climate change or voting rights or civil rights or income inequality or building a clean energy economy, every single thing that I care about and I think many of you care about, this party is aligned like it has never been before. There was a generation or so ago when Democrats were the party of
You're satanic
and empowering
worshipers.
women. Thank you. Democrats were the
Look
party of
online.
segregation
It's all over the internet.
in much of the United States
Well
just a
documented.
couple of generations ago.
Right?
We have shed that baggage. We have become, in a very full-throated way, the party of civil rights. So I feel very good about the Democratic Party today. That doesn't mean we can't be better.
Right.
And maybe you and others who aren't quite ready to come on board can help make us better the way that Bernie has helped make us better.
What have you done in place to do that?
Yeah.
We just came back from being in Iceland, and I'm saying this because it's an instance of saying you can't ever say, no, that's too far out, you won't do it. Iceland, through its bankers, is jailed, and Iceland has just crossed the line to using no carbon fuel whatsoever.
That's great. Iceland has,
None present except
with
for
all of their
people like that.
geothermal energy, they shouldn't need to have.
Yeah, and they
yeah.
combust geothermal energy.
Which is great. That's look, we have work to do. I'm not telling anybody here that we're done or that we're perfect. I'm just saying I'm excited by the openings I see and the trajectory I see we're on. So, yeah.
On a slippery
On a lighter note, in this country, in Washington, between the end of the American Revolution until approximately the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the men in Washington predominantly wore boots. So
Predominantly what?
wore boots. So my question is, are you
Powdered wigs for a while. too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you wear your boots when you're in Washington? When you're, when you're in your suit, are you wearing your boots?
He's the local bootmaker.
Are you a bootmaker?
I'm a bootmaker.
All right, well, we need to talk after. Because I've had these for a long time and I need a new pair. No, I wore these because I started my day in a beautiful way at the mouth of the Russian River. There was a group of paddlers that have made it down all the way from the Mendocino reaches of the Russian River. They've paddled the whole length. And just this morning they arrived at the mouth in Jenner at Goat Beach. And I got to greet them there. And I was walking in sand and thought I'd wear this. Yeah, very.
Where do you differ from the bulk of the Democratic Party?
Well, trade divides the Democratic Party to some degree, much less so than it divides the Republicans. The Republicans are predominantly quick to sign on to these massive and I think heavily skewed trade agreements. Democrats have some folks that join with them in those votes, but we also have a lot of folks that I will tell you from very personal and deep conviction are constantly fighting for better labor standards, better environmental standards, across the board, human rights, accountability, and are willing to say no to bad trade deals. So I'm one of those that thinks the TPP is a bad trade deal. The Democratic Party couldn't quite get that into the platform, so I guess you could say I might differ technically from the platform, but in my experience, a majority of my Democratic colleagues in Congress oppose the TPP and share some of these common principles.
Thank you.
Yeah, this particular personality is not his best one, but he's got others that I think are pretty great, and so we will fight him on this one and celebrate what I think is a pretty remarkable legacy on a lot of other things from this president. California, when I was in the state assembly, I certainly don't like the fact that we've kind of condensed down to a handful of too big to fail banks that are kind of running the financial sector of our economy. We got to break them up, and I think we're going to have to break them up. And Wells Fargo made the case a little easier in the last few weeks. So we got work to do. We got work to do. But
What about some prosecutions of these?
that would be good too.
What's going on?
Yeah. So we need to see prosecutions, but when I go back to Washington after the election, we will be working. Most people have said we got a handful of small things we might be able to get done. Criminal justice reform is the one that they put out there that we might be able to get done. Here's what the problem is coming down to. A lot of Republicans, thankfully, are ready to say we shouldn't be throwing people in these long, indeterminate sentencing situations for possession and other nonviolent crimes. We're ruining lives, we're ruining communities. So they're totally ready to revisit that. But their condition is that we impose a new standard for white-collar corporate criminals where you have to actually prove what they call mens rea, or illegal intent. It would raise the bar and basically mean that you'd never see prosecutions, at least against any individuals, for white-collar crimes. So that's not a trade-off we should have to make. We can fix the civil rights piece, the social justice piece, without giving away the store to a group that's already not seeing enough accountability. Speaking of accountability, I have a family commitment that requires me to get on the road.